Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Shine Wealthy. I am so excited to have one of my guests and friends, Tama Kieves here. Tama, I am so darn excited to have you here. Thank you for joining us on Shine Wealthy.
Thank you. Darn excited.
Yeah. So we, as you guys know, we are all about, allowing ourselves to create whatever our desires are from a place of also heart-centeredness, integrity, owning our values. And, that is one thing that I know that Tama embraces so beautifully. As a matter of fact, I give her book, A Year Without Fear, to every single one of my clients because it's so incredible. And I use it every morning myself. It's so good. And so if you don't have it, definitely go check it out because it's really, really good. And, we're going to be talking today about, beliefs and confidence and visibility too, because that really is one of the things that I know that I got stuck with when I first started, wanting to build and grow my business. And visibility is really a critical component of, not just building a business, but doing the work that we're meant to do, helping people find us so that they can actually get the transformation that they want. So Tama, I'd love for you to just kind of share ways that, people can take away some of these ideas about creating more confidence and beliefs so that they can show up as the powerful woman business leader that they're meant to do with visibility.
Yes. So, first of all, as you know, and I'll talk about it later, but I'm doing a new program on quantum confidence. So this is perfect.
Yay!
We are right in sync. And by the way, that's how visibility works right there, right? Of that when you're aligned to yourself, opportunities show up, right? And so but I think the biggest thing about visibility, for most of us is that it really comes down to self-belief, right? It really comes down to really trusting the path that we're on, really trusting our gifts. My whole path, as you know, was, I transitioned from being an attorney and leaving a practice of law and having gone to Harvard Law School and all these outside, success things to following my inner voice and following the spirit and following breadcrumbs and, it's a visibility, right? Like self-belief. That's my jam is self-belief, because when you are leaving one traditional world to open up to the gifts of genius that are in you, that are original, that are different, that are perhaps unconventional, it really does come down to this absolute trust and faith and belief. And I think that it happens over time. I don't think for many of us, I don't think that we wake up one day and go, oh my God, I'm done. I'm clicked in. I've got it. Moments like that, right?
Yeah.
But for me, so much of it, I have a chapter in my book, Inspired and Unstoppable. I have a chapter in my book that says there's just one note you came to sing. There's only one note you came to sing. And what I mean by that is that there's this calling in you and there's this love in you. But so many of us, you're talking about helping entrepreneurs be successful and get their work out there, right? We start going into the, how do I do this? How do I succeed? What are the 10 steps? What are the 8 ways? What's everybody else doing?
Yep.
I want to bring
the secret handshake.
Right. It's the secret handshake. Exactly. Everybody else knows it. But I want to bring you back to there's only one note you came to sing. There's only one note you came to sing. And what I mean by that is your love, your calling, your genius. When you're in touch with that, that's where the self-belief comes from. That's where so for me, like it was writing, that was when I originally started, it was writing. When I finally really started writing what I needed to write and in my own way and ignoring what everybody else said of what you should do and could do and whatever. When I tap that power, I'm invincible. When I tap the powers of my gift, my real gift, not my gift where it's like, oh, what do people want though? What's going to be more marketable? What's going to be more what's Chris Williams doing? I got to copy her. What's this person doing? I got to copy them, right? But like really getting back into your real gift, that's what's going to give you strength and power. That's what's going to give you a self-belief. And in self-belief, I don't even think we worry about visibility.
Mm,
we're just so full of the gift, and we're so concerned with sharing the gift, with people, that we're not thinking about, oh, will they see me? What will they think? Will I be okay or not?
yes. Oh my gosh, so good. That is one of the things that was shifted for me when I was building and growing my business, is shifting out of the, oh my gosh, is this going to work? Is this going to get a client? Is this going to, transpire? Like, it was shifting from the outcome to, I
Mm,
just get to give value. I just,
mm.
I just get to serve. I just get to share what's on my heart. I just get to be me, and I just get to give value and put value in the value bank, and know that that is really what comes back.
Especially when we're really giving that value. Because here's the thing, you cannot be, like having, mind can't have split purposes at the same time, right? So if I'm secretly thinking, I want to sell you, oh, I hope you have an issue this week so you'll hire me as a coach. Oh God, I hope something didn't work so you'll hire me. No, right? Having that outcome, right? Like if I'm having something about me,
Yeah.
about, trying to get, right? Rather than I'm in that, like you said, that service mode of I have something to give, right?
Yeah.
And the only time I have something to give is when I've touched my own genius, my own talent, when I'm growing. So
Mm,
here's the weird thing. So I work a lot in my business with helping people with what I'll call inspired success rather than linear success, right? So linear success is all the steps, the things you have to do, and you have to take, like I said, the 10 ways, blah, blah, blah. Inspired success is being moved from within. It's
mm,
really being moved to the next step and the next step. But what happens, and what especially as healers, especially as those of us who are coaches or healers or artists or visionaries, we are healing ourselves. This is the part I didn't understand. Like I transitioned from being an attorney to, being an author and speaker and coach. And I, of course, just thought, well, I'm going to be a success right away. I know how to bill hours as an attorney. I know how to just put time in. It'll just work. But what I didn't realize is that this is a path of healing. This
mm,
is a path of undoing every fear I have, and
mm,
every sense of inadequacy I have, and every doubt I have, because we are in the service of a calling. We are in
mhm,
the service, if we're truly in this, we are truly listening to an inspired power, a love, and we are learning that relationship, which is more important than anything else. So our own fears come up of inadequacy, or I'm doing business wrong, or I won't be able to pay the bills, or whatever it is, so that we heal them, that we learn another way to be with them. And when we heal, and as we heal ourselves, that's where the strength comes from. Like anybody can throw any question to me now as a coach, and it's like, oh, I got that. Yeah, I got that. Because I've gone through so many fears. And
yeah.
because I know this works. And we
Yes.
can't really know that this inspired power works if we're not using it in our own lives.
I love what you just said about allowing the inspiration to come from inside versus the strategy of the 10 perfect ways to do XYZ. And while that's marketable, that is still strategy. And look, I'm for both. I love
Yes.
energy, and so I mean, we still have to take action, right?
Yes.
We're not going to just like woo ourselves to success, but
Maybe, who knows?
okay.
I like
Yeah,
that.
Tama will teach us how to woo our way to success. No, but what I mean by that is the action really becomes inspired versus hustly. It
Yes.
comes from, this feels good and this is what I'm inspired to do, and so I'm going to take the action because of that, versus I have to take the action because so and so said I have to do the thing
Perfect.
this way.
Perfect. That's exactly it. And so I am never against strategy. It's just
Mhm.
not my limited brain's strategy. That's
Yes,
the difference.
yes.
I'm not against, I'm not taking a very limited plan, because I have worked with so many clients who've spent thousands and thousands of dollars doing, some project strategy, blah, 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 some program, but it
Mhm,
wasn't from their love. It was from their
mhm,
fear. It was from
mhm,
their, well, I don't really know, so I better do this, even though it
mhm.
feels yicky to me and it doesn't feel authentic to me,
Yep,
right? But
yep.
when we're operating from our love and like you said, woo, whatever it is, of that doesn't mean we don't take action. I'm taking action every single day. I'm inspired every single day.
Yeah.
And you may be inspired in ways that you don't imagine. And I will say, because this is a path of healing, I've had to show up and do things I don't think I want to do. Right. Like I do run a business and, an organization, and there's a million things that I have thought, oh God, I don't want to do this. Right. Or maybe this isn't my highest good because it doesn't feel good. But my healing has been finding another way. And so I'll give you an example, because you mentioned the book Fear Without Fear. When I earlier on in my business, like I hated the idea of social media. Everybody kept telling me, you need to do social media, you need to do social media. And I kept thinking, oh God, I don't want to do that. And I don't want to tell somebody what I had for breakfast today, or it's just so ridiculous to me. I just didn't want to do it. And so I had this real resistance to it. But my own healing was, what if I got past that block of what I thought it was? And what if I found my own way to do something, my own inspired way? And I started thinking, there are so many people who maybe won't ever be able to afford to come to a retreat of mine, or who have never come to one of my workshops, or who haven't read any of my books, right? And what if I could create on social media the most sacred space that it would inspire them every single day, right? And so like that inspired me, right? So I started writing these things that I wanted people to know, like just, different quotes or whatever. And people loved it, right? And I started getting so much feedback. And that's where A Year Without Fear came from. Because I was doing these little quotes and I was doing stuff and people were loving it. And then I went to my publisher and said, hey, I have another book, blah, blah, blah. And that book has done phenomenally well. But that's a perfect example of an inspired strategy, right? Yep. Like I never would have thought that. But again, I guess what I'm saying to all the entrepreneurs out there and all the beautiful souls that are putting their life's work into this world, which I'm so proud of you, is that we will face fears, right? But inspired action is finding your own core truth through that. Like what it's coming up for a reason. And I'm not saying you have to do the thing. You might realize, no, that's not mine to do. And here's why, right? But it's just coming up for you to get in touch with your own inner connection and find your way, because we're going to be healing all throughout this.
I want you to expand a little bit more on the piece of not feeling like it, because I so agree with you. There are going to be things in our business that we might not necessarily feel like doing. We might not feel like writing something, or we might not feel. So how do people discern, the inspired, the aligned action that feels good versus the things that don't feel good, but you do it anyways? Because
that's a great question. That's a really great question. And it's a lifelong question, because what we're talking about in this whole conversation, what we're talking about is really learning how to listen to this inner voice of genius that's going to guide you every single step of the way. If this is a calling in your life, if there's only one note you came to sing and this is a calling, you have this source that's going to guide you, but it's really becoming aware of that. So to go back to your question, which is great, is there's this inner resistance we have, right? And very often we all have this inner resistance to the things we most need to do, right? And sometimes that's fear, because going back to the course I'm teaching, Quantum Confidence, it's really going to be about, all our fears come up about, it won't go well, I'm inadequate, I won't do the right thing. And so sometimes the very things we think we don't want to do are actually our greatest healings, right? And so I'll give you an example of, so I had been speaking for years, and I'm really good at breakout sessions and facilitating, whatever, but I really wanted to be a keynote speaker. This is years ago. And I knew I had it in me, but I was terrified, right? The visibility thing. And also I was just terrified of like, and I just had so much resistance. I had so much anxiety about speaking, even though everybody's like, but Tama, you're so good.
I can
so good. You can do this, blah, blah, blah. Right. I'll just tell a very quick story. It was such a pivotal story. The first, like one of the very first keynotes I ever had to give, it was in Canada. And I remember thinking as we were driving across the border, we flew in and we drove across the border. I was with my partner and I said, well, if I bomb, I never have to come to this country again. Just never go to Canada. That's all. But I remember the night before, I was so terrified. And I just thought, I can't do this. I just don't want to do this. Maybe I'm not a keynote speaker. Maybe I'm just going to be smaller, blah, 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 and my partner had said with so much love, maybe that's true. Maybe that's okay. Maybe you don't need to do this. And there was something about that permission and that love and that non-judgment where I just tried that on. Like, maybe I don't need to be a keynote speaker. Maybe that's okay. Maybe I'm pushing myself. And the second I did that, another instinct came up and said, but I was born for this. Wait a second. And then there was another little voice that said, excuse me, I'm a ham. I love attention. By the way, that was probably one of the most successful talks I ever gave. I think the universe like supports you immediately when you stand up. I got 3 standing ovations. We sold all my books. We sold out of everything. We were mobbed. It was amazing. I mean, it was such a very clear indication that yes, you are supposed to do this. But there is this thing about like facing the fear. So I would give you permission to say, you don't have to do any of it. You don't. But do you know that you need to? Because for me, what happens is if I give myself permission to say, you don't need to do any of this, but there's another part of me that feels like, but I know I need to.
Yeah.
Because one thing, if you refuse the call to be greater, if you refuse the call to be greater in your lifetime, I knew it would haunt me. I knew it would track me down. I knew that if I didn't show up for it, then I'd be afraid of other things. Then my fear would track me down in things I was good at. It's so, because that fear will always find you, right? And so there's something so healing about stepping into the arena that we fear. And by the way, when this is a calling, again, the greatest confidence building thing you will ever have is you will be received. How many of us met with a client maybe and weren't sure we could do it, and then it went phenomenal, or something came through and we were like, oh my God, right? And so the greatest confidence you will ever have is from doing your work, not from avoiding your work, but from doing it.
Oh, that is, yes, that's a golden nugget. Everybody write that down for sure. Like, and I do want to just kind of double click on the idea that confidence isn't something that we have first and then we do the thing because we feel so amazing with it, right?
Yes.
Like that. And I think that's the point that you're making here also is, look, we do it afraid, and the confidence comes in that process of it, because and that really is, if we're like, how do I be more confident? Well, you do the thing and then you become more confident versus, oh, I have to have confidence first before I can do the thing.
That's Chris, you're so right on. In the class I'm doing, Quantum Confidence, which is it's a small group coaching program. It's really affordable. You get a private session with me if you sign up early. So just but what we're doing in it is exactly, I mean, you're just giving it away now. So
I'm giving away all the secrets. I'm sorry.
I'm teasing you. You're so on, and that's why we need to follow you. Because one of I have the first week is really about being your undiluted, unapologetic self, right? And so and part of what we cover is exactly what you just said, is that we think we need self-confidence in order to have self-expression, but it's actually in self-expression that we find our self-confidence. It's actually when and again, you have to discern though. This is where it goes back to what you were asking. I am not a fan of just get out there and make yourself do it no matter what. That's not, this is a loving path. For me, it's a spiritual path. It's a path of working with my own guidance and my own spirit and my own right timing. Because sometimes people are pushing themselves too quickly, trying to prove something, trying to do what some other coach told them instead of their own intuition. There's so many times where I've gotten clear, like, I'm not ready. This isn't right for me. I don't know why, but this isn't right for me. Right? Of and that ability to listen to that is so key. So again, but if we are really on a path of calling, please keep in mind, you're not alone in this. There's something else going on, and that your right people will find you. And that, just like my thing about my keynote thing, by the way, interestingly enough, when I was in fear that night of before the keynote, I was so terrified. And I talked to the conference organizer. I didn't tell her I was in fear, but I was just saying, hi, I'm here, blah, blah, blah. So I'm in fear. So she, fear begets fear. She goes, you better be good tomorrow.
Oh, oh my gosh.
She said, you're the keynote and you better be good tomorrow. Right. So I was in pure terror. Right. And that's when I had that whole conversation with my partner, and thank God something else kicked in. But I wasn't alone. I feel like my guidance was saying, yes, do this. And I was so loved and so reinforced because of it. And so that's what I want to tell you. Any opportunity that comes to you, or a place where you feel like you need to stretch, if you do it even a little bit, you'll be met on some level. And that's what's going to give you the confidence.
Absolutely. I absolutely 100% agree with that. And I've seen it in my life too. And the beauty of this journey is we get to practice this over and over again, right?
And what I will say, because this is such a huge part of the work, is that again, we started talking earlier about the outcomes, right? We sometimes, I use a lot of Course in Miracles in all my work, and that is so much a path about really looking at our perceptions and our interpretations. So sometimes people will say, well, Tama, I wasn't met. I showed up and I did that meeting or whatever, and nobody bought my product. Right. And that sometimes, again, you may be misinterpreting what's going on. Right. Because when I slow down with somebody, we can find miracle after miracle after miracle that's occurred. But if your brain is saying there's only one acceptable outcome, that people buy my products. And going back to what Chris was saying, it's like, no, we are learning how to stand up in our power and our strength, no matter what, every single time, so that it's never just one outcome. Right. And again, so many times I've done something and nothing, quote, happened theoretically. But I felt good. I made a connection. I moved on. Something else happened. And then 3 months later, 3 people from that thing came forward. Right.
Yes. Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. The one thing that I remember is, especially just kind of getting back to the value piece of it, that I mentioned earlier, was that just by being in that energy of giving, the giving energy versus the getting energy, sometimes it doesn't come back to us in the same way that we're giving.
Yes.
Right? It might not come back through the front door. Maybe it comes back through the back door, the side door, the windows, but it will always come back in some way, shape, or form. Yes. And so I love the perception shift that you give of, but there's always miracles happening.
Always miracles, but you're so limited in the way that you're thinking. That's the linear success versus inspired success. I'm looking at it with a linear camera, but wait, I didn't get a crunchy thing,
Yes. I did the thing and it didn't give me this thing.
Right.
Well, what if there's something greater that's happening here behind the scenes that is meant to come to you because you did this thing?
Bingo. And I guarantee that truth. I will guarantee you that truth. Even if the thing that happens is you have a meltdown that helps you heal something inside you forevermore. That lets you be strong in a way you've never been before, right? And so again, like the meltdowns we're having, if we stay with this path, oh my God, they're really where the juice is. And so going back to what you were saying about that giving energy,
Mhm.
I have a chapter in Inspired and Unstoppable where I talk about you. It's something like you only rush yourself into stagnation. You only rush yourself into stagnation. And I see this with so many business owners, right? That I got to get there. I got to get there. I got to make it happen. It's not happening. I'm not doing it fast enough. That rush, that urgency is not coming from love.
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
coming from fear, right? It's coming
Yep.
from agitation,
Yep.
and giving and that love and that value comes from slowing down and being present, right?
Mm.
So for me, like when I was writing books, it'd be like, but I got to finish this. I got to make this happen. I got to sell this book already. I got to, by the way, that never inspired me to write. Amazingly enough, that didn't inspire some like brilliant breakthrough principle for people. But here's the thing, if you slow down into your gift, right? If you only have one client, right? And you want 500 million of them, but you only have one, I want you to slow down so much into that one service that you get so connected. And when you are connected to that presence and that strength and that love that's inside you, you don't have a doubt. And that's what always happened for me, is if I slowed down, I connect, and I not just slowed down, but I was working on my gift. I was writing, or I was coaching, or I was giving a workshop. And maybe I was disappointed at first. Maybe there was only 10 people at my workshop when I wanted, 500 or whatever but if I could get my ego out of it, which was a big if, if I could get that crazy mind out of it, and if I could just really slow down and be present and love the hell out of that moment, I got into that presence and that energy. And then I had no doubts in the world about where I was going in my career. And it has paid off. By the way, all of this is tangible. Every opportunity I've gotten has come that way. Every paycheck I've gotten has come that way. Every book deal I got came that way. So I'm not just saying this is just to feel good. It is to feel good, but it works.
Yes. Yes, it works. It feels good and it works.
Yes.
Tama, how can people learn more about you and the quantum confidence? Gosh, I love that so much.
I'm so excited about that program because I see so many entrepreneurs that are just like so stuck and doubting themselves all the time. So this is like getting past doubt, where we're really going to talk about it. Love. There's 30 days of prompts. It's all kinds of great stuff. So TamaKieves.com obviously is the mothership. If you're interested in that course, it's TamaKieves.com/ quantum-confidence. TamaKieves.com, quantum-confidence. Also, on my website, there's also 3 free coaching videos if you're interested. So you can just look at that, a free gift you can download. That makes sure that you get our fortune cookies that come weekly with different fun sayings and all kinds of different support.
Love my fortune cookies.
Yes, they're really fun. I mean, people always go, "Oh my God, you wrote that for me," and it's like, because it's so important to stay inspired, right? So, and by the way, with the quantum confidence thing, the thing I didn't mention, it's a really cool program because it also includes 3 free months being part of my community of the Inspired and Unstoppable Life Tribe. So really, it's such a little package of support, and it's really affordable. I wanted to create it, because I know that people are, struggling at different times. And like I said, there's an early bird right now that if you order right now, you get a free private session with me for 15 minutes where we could talk about anything. So that's amazing. Yeah. So again, TamaKieves.com. You can download the free videos, get to quantum confidence, and I'm on social media also now. Now that I get my I'm doing
anyway.
videos every day on Instagram, on Facebook, on TikTok. But seriously, I would love to hear from you. I would love to hear from any of you, because I would love to know what's on your mind this way, because your work is so important in this world. That's the thing I want people to remember. Your work is so, so important in this world, and that this is a calling. This is meant to be. This is destiny, darling. But you have to learn the path of destiny. You have to learn the ways. It's linear success versus inspired success, right? If you're trying to use a linear way to get an inspired, amazing life, it doesn't happen the same way. So So I'm just so excited for everybody. And I'm so grateful for those of you who are doing holistic work and unconventional work. We are the new mainstream, darling. We are.
Yeah. Yes. Woo! Tama, I always love connecting with you, hearing you, reading your books. They're amazing. You guys definitely go to the hub where you can download more of Tama's information. Find her again. So, so good, so inspiring. And this place of confidence really is, I think that, so many of us struggle with it, not just when we're in the beginning, but, this is something that we work on healing, in multiple places and in multiple ways. So thank you so much for sharing your wisdom, your genius. Thank you for being brave enough to get up on that keynote stage.
And so many others.
Yeah, totally. I can't wait to hear more for sure. Thank you so much, Tama. And is there anything else that you want to share?
Oh, yeah. And Chris, I just wanted to, likewise, to thank you so much for the bravery that you're doing. And I know what it takes to do this kind of work. And I'm so proud of you and for every step you're taking in this. So thank you so, so much. And for all of us who are daring to live from inspiration instead of fear. Oh, that's amazing.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Thank you.